Greetings, family. This is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I'm going to put y'all on hold. I wanted to go ahead and start this live to be on time, but I'm going to take a little pause for the calls because I have not moved from the seat since I did the reading an hour ago. So give me a second. I will be right back. All right, let's go. All right, everybody. So again, as I announced, I am Cassandra Faye Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And I want to talk to y'all about some things today. And at the same time, encourage you all, those who have not yet, to get your life right and join us every second and fourth Wednesday of the month for our Pure Lust book club, aka the Temple Study Group. Because this last week, the Temple Study Group was off the chain. You understand? I see. So Balance is on here. Samara, Solitaire Wisdom. You feel me? Several of y'all was on the call with me. You feel me? And if y'all are not opposed, greetings, T. Can't believe you are reading Parable of the Sower. I literally bought the book Saturday unknowingly. Come on in the room, okay? Come on in the room. Come on in the room, because that's how she do these days. That's how she do these days. Okay? So anyway, so yes, going back, the Temple study was so good. I've been thinking about it literally every day since last week when we did it. I have had several offshoot conversations about it since it happened last week. And so much more in terms of epiphanies have subsequently revealed themselves and come through since last week. And so I wanted to talk to you all about it, okay? Because otherwise I'm gonna have to start doing some videos, maybe a video every time that's public, every time we do the study group, just as a way to encourage y'all to participate in the study group, by kind of trying to condense what we do in those study groups, which have been hard as I try, hard as I try. I be trying to be so disciplined and keeping them at 2 hours, and it has yet to happen. It's yet to happen. And so even as I try and it's yet to happen, I'm like, okay, well, maybe, as a part of like integrating what comes through in that process, I can do a live video that has dual purpose. Greetings, Black Widow Row. That has dual purpose to, one, woo and win you to participate in those study groups that happen twice a month, and also further deepen and integrate and draw out what comes out of those groups, because they are deep and profound. Now, so why am I on here? Why is the topic of today entitled pain and suffering, right? And I think on the promo that I did, it is pain and suffering from Thank you, Solitaire Wisdom. I appreciate that. She said, no, I'll be needing them 4 hours. Girl, look, I emailed you I emailed everybody that participated the link for the recording of the book club last week. And I opened the recording, and because, usually 4 hours has been our mark, right? Where everybody starts bowing out. Baby, we was on that call for 5 hours and 21 minutes. 5 hours and 21 minutes we was on that call last week. You feel me? So anyway, the reason it's called Pain and Suffering is because that was the topic of the temple study last week / the Pure Lust book club last week. The name was based on the fact that the very first chapter of the book is entitled it's the very first the subject or the topic. Who is the Facebook user that says 5 hours? I just turned it on. Who is the Facebook user? Because I can't see who you are through StreamYard. Tell me who the Facebook user is. So anyway, the topic is about the history of the religious spiritual practice of asceticism, and how that becomes the foundational underpinning for every spin-off organization in society. And for those who do not know, I think the picture that I used to promote for this live, the definition of asceticism is the incorporation of the act of austerity, right, to prove a level of devotion to a leader or to a deity. It is these what lay people would see as extreme acts of devotion, right? Extreme demonstrations of devotion to a religious leader or to a deity. So when we talk about asceticism, we're talking about anything from, quote, as mild as vows of celibacy taken by priests, vows of poverty typically taken by nuns, to as extreme as some of the things that we've seen in like Hindu tradition, where they may lay on beds of nails or walk on coals, or fast for 40 days, or anything that's much more physically demonstrative of the need for pain and suffering, to impose pain on the flesh as this act of devotion, this demonstration of devotion to a deity or to a religious leader. Okay, the whole first part of the book is talking about the role of asceticism in what she has identified as, quote, sedo society, and the term that she also coins, which is philocracy. I am going to talk very minimally about those two terms because you need to know them before we walk into a discussion about asceticism and the political role that it has played, and the insidious ways that it shows its ugly face in society today. And we clueless because we have an extraordinarily ill-informed way of understanding the world. We have an extraordinarily ill-informed way that we interpret what we are witnessing in any phenomenon in any given time. Because, and the reason that we always come to the wrong conclusions about what it is we are witnessing is because information has been deliberately kept from us, deliberately hidden from us, even if it's hidden in plain sight. If we don't have a cultural, historical, scientific, political reference for which that gives us a peculiar lens through which we view anything that we're witnessing in any given time, we'll always come to the wrong conclusions. And that's what has allowed for the world to continue and to remain, to look the way that it does, with these extreme imbalances of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and all of that other shit, right? Now, so the book that I'm talking about that has been the object of our temple studies right now is Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. We read this and finished it before the new year. It is going to be the object of our temple studies for some time. However, within the context of the temple studies, there are 3 other books that we are using to weave our way through understanding this book. And those are important for you to know if you intend to join us on this workshop. On this book club. Another book written by Mary Daly to help demystify the way that she rewrites language in these books is called The Webster's First New Intergalactic Wikidictionary of the English Language. Webster's First New Intergalactic Wikidictionary of the English Language. You should have this book. I pulled this book out so I can talk to you about the Sedo state, Sedo society, and philocracy before going into this discussion about asceticism. The other book that everyone should own is the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. This book, the reason everyone should own this book is because all of us, everybody on earth, has exclusively been taught the totality of history squarely through the lens of maleness, maledom, patriarchy. And so a whole half of human history has been hidden, kept away, removed from, and the every now and again, few times they will mention significant women in human history, they always treat it as a side note or something that is peculiar and not regularly occurring. This book fills in the missing blanks, or at least begins to fill in the missing blanks of the half of human history that has been kept away from the whole planet. Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. You should have this book. You feel me? And then lastly, and certainly not least, what has brought us all here, the reason that 99.9% of you have even been coming to my page is because of the great cosmic mother rediscovering the religion of the earth. Okay? This book is the web that's been cast. You understand? So, now, what does she mean when she says, and it's going to get juicy, but you have to rock through the little preliminaries first before we can get to the juicy part, okay? So let's talk about what she means in the very beginning when she talks about, let's see, is it here? Give me just a second. Let me look this up. The phallocracy and the Sedo state, Web 2. Oh shit. Mary be going off, y'all. I just want y'all to know this book is not for the faint of heart. It is not for those who are tender in their feelings or who are easily triggered. I'm going to just tell you right now, because I don't want you to be in your feelings. You understand? I want you to be warned. This book ain't for you. You feel me? Okay. Phallicism. Okay, so when she talks about the phallocracy, a society centered on phallicism, okay, she says phallicism is the worship of or reverence for the generative principle in nature as symbolized by the phallus, the penis. The worship of or reverence for the degenerative principle. Listen, the degenerative principle in civilization as symbolized by the phallus, male self-worship, ideology, and practice consequent upon and reinforcing the belief that God is male and the male is God. Sophalism, the theory or view that the phallus is the only reality. Fallacy, the most pathetic fallacy. Okay, that's why. So listen, I don't want to go that deep. Okay, and when she talks about the phallocratic state or phallocracy, the state of intellectual, moral, physical, and metaphysical flaccidity. Okay, the condition of rigid or the rigidity or frigidity, the state of rigor mortis, right? So she's talking about phallocentrism, the phallocracy, rule by a father God, a father son. Rule by God, Father, Son, and company. Okay, so when she's talking about, whenever you hear me say phallocracy, she is talking about any society, propped up, built around the centering of the phallus as the symbol of the dominating force of generation and what she calls degeneration, right? And then the sedo state, which is why we're going into this discussion about asceticism, is because the sedo state, right? Sedo society, sedo spirituality is. So let me just read what she says about sedo, because these are some words you'll hear in some of the shorts stuff that I'm going to be reading. So sedo asceticism, a primary aspect of sedo society, flight from phallic lust and lechery into sadomasochistic self-abuse, a pattern which only reinforces the obsessions from which the ascetic is trying to escape. Child, is madness. Oh my God. The pathetic behavior of Saint Jerome, who describes his experience in the following words, blah, 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 blah. So we'll talk about that in a minute. The view of life expressed by Robert Oppenheimer. We will talk about this. Okay. So that's Sado asceticism. Sado spirituality, or Sado, what she calls Sado ritual syndrome, a set of interconnected components of Sado rituals, which, when discovered, can be seen by searchers as links among seemingly unrelated atrocities such as witch burnings, gynecological practices, lynchings, pogroms, nuclear arms buildup, the exploitation and torture of animals, so on. Y'all ain't heard, y'all ain't rocking with me. Sado society, a society spawned by phallic lust, the sum of places and times where the beliefs and practices of sadomasochism are the rule. Okay, Sado spirituality is pseudo spirituality characterized by obsessive and imposed asceticism and by refined and disguised lechery. Sado spiritual syndrome, sickening syndrome, assuming two aspects: the phallic flight from lust into phallic asceticism, and phallic flight from lust into refined lechery, manifesting itself in three interconnected ways. Right? We'll talk about that a little later. Okay. So now y'all get it. Now, what does that mean when she talks about, explained in layman's terms, phallocracy, right? Now, what does she mean when she talks about Sado society? The layman's terms of that is the use of sadism and masochism, the necessary presence of both sadism and masochism for the upholding of and the legitimating of society, that society which uses those as its components. Now, in this first chapter, she says, why is asceticism necessary? Why is it a key component of the legitimating ideology of the sedo state? Why is it used in every tradition and religion? Sadism, not sadism and masochism, asceticism, sadism and masochism disguised as asceticism, because that's what is happening, right? She says, this is the key sentence. As we shall see, Sedo spirituality demands the destruction of women's ancestral memories, the blocking of our capacity to conceive, speak, and act upon our own original words. That is, it causes the condition which Lauke Berzenik has named the amnesia of women. It relies on and uses us varying acts of asceticism to ensure that women never remember who we are and who we emerge from, our relationship to the original one. That's all it's for. That's what she's saying. That's all it's for. Building up a society that in every way and in every culture and across every race of people tied to this philosophy, that in order to become enlightened, in order to become closer to God, in order to demonstrate our loyalty to our rulers, in order to, whether those rulers be of flesh and bone or whether those rulers be mythological motherfuckers in the sky, that as a necessary foundational requirement, pain and suffering is the way that our loyalty is demonstrated. It is the way our belief is demonstrated. It is the way that our hope is demonstrated, is through acts of pain and suffering. Whether we are the recipients of those acts of pain and suffering, whether we are the facilitators through self-harm, those acts of pain and suffering, or whether in our proximity to what we see in our mind as closest to God, what is that? White and male, we are the disseminators of pain and suffering. Y'all ain't rocking with me. This study that we did on Thursday has had me reeling, because it made clear. I've been talking to y'all over some time about like crimes against women, right? Like these statistics and how they're increasing. And despite the fact that we're supposed to be so progressive and we've supposedly come so far, but the statistics of crimes against women, harm against women, are steadily increasing, intensifying even, right? I talked to you guys about this guy who has a TikTok channel where he is collecting statistics around serial killers and cult leaders and mass murderers and shit like that, and how across the board, you know, these serial killers in particular and cult leaders and mass murderers are most likely going to be white and male within a certain age range, 24 to 35. And in these discussions that we all have had at some time in our life, trying to understand the peculiar nature of white males that make it seem as though they are just prone to extreme wild acts of violence, right? And I've been thinking about this question a lot. Now, we always just conceded that it was just some inherent flaw of whiteness, some inherent flaw on their part, some genetic twitch inherent in whiteness that gives us these statistics in real time, right? Greetings, Taylor. How you doing, dear? And so I've been sitting with this for a long time, man. What is it that makes this such a phenomenon that it's easy for those of us to say, oh, that's just some white people shit? Because we say that. Culturally, we say that. When we hear something about a serial killer eating people or something, we say, oh, that's some white people shit. And we just move on without going any deeper into the question. And then we start reading Pure Lust. And we start reading about the old people, the old, now ancient people who, at the bourgeoning of this project called Patriarchy, began a process of glorifying and producing examples that became canonized, damn near deified examples of ways to suffer, to prove allegiance to, loyalty to demonstrate to God how willing we should be to suffer. This is so insidious because it serves two purposes. Well, multiple purposes, but the two main purposes that it serves. One is to put forward the inherent goodness of males in general, white males in particular, while at the same time demonstrating that if these good men, priests and monks and yogis, are willing to suffer for humanity, then the least you can do is work 40 hours a week. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, and I'm not trying to oversimplify, but how deep the idea and the philosophy, and it's an old philosophy, how deep the philosophy of asceticism is woven into literally every aspect of life. You feel me? Every aspect of life. This idea of the necessity of suffering, the necessity of pain, in my estimation, is what keeps otherwise sane people from wreaking havoc on the planet. Let me explain. If you did not have as your spiritual, philosophical underpinning and belief system the necessity, the glory of pain and suffering necessary for you to gain your rewards in the afterlife, the better and more proficient you are at receiving suffering, the better things will be in your afterlife. If this was not ingrained, etched into your goddamn being, philosophically, religiously, spiritually, then would slavery be an institution that could be maintained for long periods of time? Or would people be just like, this some bullshit, let me plot and scheme every single day in every single way how I can slay my master? But when you have a philosophy imposed on your consciousness and etched in your spirit that suffering is your lot in life, you do not attack the object of your suffering because of his proximity to godness, his whiteness, his masculinity. And this proximity to godness, as you receive it and as he receives it, justifies this dichotomy between have and have nots, between extraordinary wealth and abject poverty, between men and women, between others and males. Because contrary to what anybody believes, others' suffering and pain is based on their proximity to and their alignment with femaleness. That's word. That's word. Because in a world constructed right now to glorify and raise up white males as the personification of God, white males are the personification of their God, disembodied in their relationship with the earth, disembodied with their relationship to the divine feminine that they were born with, disembodied from their relationship to the suffering of others? Isn't this the exact same relationship that we all have with their white God, the white God in the white robes with the white beard in the white heaven, in the sky somewhere, never to be seen? And if their God, the white God in the white heaven with the white beard and the white robes, can, on the one hand, tell you how much he loves you, you feel me? In all the beautiful, poetic, philosophical ways that he tells you he loves you on the one hand, but on the other hand, is constantly using his power to punish, right? Look at the story of Job. You understand? He ran that motherfucker through the ringer, but can be disembodied from it. He could say, oh, well, the devil did that. I just removed my hand of protection. You feel me? Because this God requires. He doesn't just allow. He requires pain and suffering as demonstrations of your allegiance, of your loyalty to, of your allegiance to, of your belief in his existence. He is, not only does he require your loyalty and your belief in, you understand, your allegiance to him, right? He requires, he is fed fat from your suffering. He is emboldened. He is fattened off the blood of your suffering, off the sweat of your suffering. And so just like we know that, those who are in proximity in their personification to this God of their creation have a right. They have an ordained right. They have a divine right to be the administrators of said pain and suffering. What did Mary Daly say in the book? She said, it is the accepted, ordained divine fate of females to suffer. That's what she said. That's what she said. Why is it the ordained fate of women to suffer? Because the original sin, based on all Abrahamic religions, the original sin based on the philosophy of Buddhism and Hinduism as they became patriarchal, the original sin is to be born female. And your proximity to femaleness justifies, in fact, ordains your fate to live a life of suffering as punishment and expiation for the crime and the sin of being born female. So you must suffer. This is the way that God purifies you from the sin of being born female, from the sin of being born other, for the sin of being born black, for the sin of being born. So I'm tweaking, right? I'm reading this chapter. I'm like, oh my God. This is what explains what we call some ambiguous psychological disorder. You. Child. Listen, we have been misled, baby. We have been misled because we will stay chasing our tails, trying to understand. I just want to understand what was happening in their brains when they did that. Serial killers, sociopaths, you feel me? We want to understand, we want to put them in a mental institution to understand what's happening in their brains and in their consciousness. Serial killers, mass murderers, cult leaders, these are monsters of patriarchal creation. They are just mirror images of this diabolical megalomaniac that lives in their mythological heaven, who takes lives as he sees fit, who causes despair upon men, women, children, and others at random. You feel me? Who justifies in theory, in spiritual theory, the enslavement of millions and millions and millions of human beings. So these, quote, seemingly crazy white people who eat people or do any kind of weird ass shit they do, and we just want to say, oh, well, that's just some white people shit, or oh, that's just what white people do, or oh, that's just how they is, or oh, he just crazy. What we do is, because we fail to analyze, because we fail to go deep in the philosophical, spiritual, political history that exists and impacts everybody on this goddamn planet, we can look in real time at what she's saying in these humans. They are not crazy. They are carrying out the acts of their God. Tell me I'm lying. Why is it that when some white child or some white male goes and shoots up a school, or goes and shoots up a black church, or goes and shoots up a this and a that and this, that, and the such and such, there is almost a reverence and a gentility that they are handled by the cops. They get fed Happy Meals while they're in the back of the cop car. Right? We get so angry and dismayed and distressed because we like, what damn? Why white people don't ever serve no time for crimes they commit? Why they don't do that? Because they are holding up a philosophy necessary to continue to justify the pain and suffering of the many. They become the heroes in this philosophy. Yes, they do. When you have a society built foundationally off the necessity of pain and suffering has to come from somewhere, because most often than not, we ain't going to impose the pain on ourselves. You feel me? So to have a society, a spiritual background that relies on pain and suffering, somebody has to be the initiator of that pain and suffering, and somebody has to be the recipient of that pain and suffering. And this is why she called asceticism, she called it sadomasochistic asceticism. Well, she called it sadistic or sado-asceticism. The reason she called it sado-asceticism is because inherent in asceticism is suffering. You see? The sadism or the sadistic part of it is, where is the suffering coming from? And so I was talking to my homeboy yesterday, because I'm really working this out in my brain, because this shit is like radical and deep and explains so much. Now, she don't say it in the book, but this is me trying to break it down in a way that's easy for people to grab onto and see as real. Sadism is the act of getting gratification from the act of harming or hurting others, right? You are the sadist. You are the one initiating the pain and suffering. Masochism is getting gratification or pleasure from the reception or the receiving of pain and suffering. This is a relationship that requires both individuals, because you can be a sadist, but if ain't nobody compliant, then what? You right? So she talks about three different aspects, or three different ways historically asceticism has showed up in these, quote, religious spiritual men that have been held up, most of whom have either been canonized or just have developed, like spiritual rock star status. You feel me? So the first one she talks about is the example of the sadomasochistic ascetic. This monk took himself out of society, fastened his fucking leg with a belt to like a rock or a boulder or some shit, and refused to move, refused to eat, you feel me, refused to clean himself, refused, total self-neglect, right? So total self-neglect, you feel me? And so much so that child, he had become so filthy in his isolation that bugs were feasting on his flesh. He was alive. Bugs were feasting on his flesh, and he refused to move them because it added to his suffering. And he needed to demonstrate great suffering to prove his allegiance and loyalty to God. You feel me? This is the sadomasochistic ascetic. He is not only no, this is the masochistic. Excuse me. Let's see. Is that right? How did I work that out? Yes. He is the damn, how did I work that out? Masochistic says the other dude. Nope. Yes, he is the sadomasochistic ascetic because he is both the initiator and the facilitator of the pain and suffering. He is also the recipient of the suffering. So he is the sadomasochistic ascetic. And another example of that, but in another way, is like these same priests back in the day, they would do shit like take whips with like little metal prods on them or something, or they would take cattails, or they would take, they would cut themselves, right? So this is another way to understand the sadomasochistic ascetic, this self-harm as a way, like actual self-harm. So in his self-harm, he was just fasting to extreme. It was total neglect, right? But he is the facilitator of the harm and the recipient of the harm, sadomasochistic ascetic, right? The next dude she talked about, this dude had this childhood trauma at 12 years old. He had been traumatized by some man in the military. He had, SA'd him. And in this event, he turns to Catholicism, becomes a priest in Catholicism, but is constantly tormented by this aggression against him as a child. And so, and he was plagued by two things. He was plagued by guilt, what we call in psychological circles false guilt, which is often seen in child victims of sexual assault, right, or any kind of abuse, right? That they turn in on themselves. What did I do to make this happen? What could I have done to prevent this? And then he was also another thing was that he was plagued by shame, because in the fact that his trauma had not been resolved, but that it was constantly playing over in his head, he felt shame because he took pleasure in reliving the assault. So what? He needed a psychologist. He needed a therapist is what he needed. But instead, what he did was, in order to atone for what he felt was like false guilt and for the shame of taking pleasure in the reenactment in his consciousness of this aggression, he hired a man to take a leather whip with metal prods on it to beat him. This is a quote: to beat him regularly and to the point that his flesh was being removed, and told him, do not stop until I ejaculate. So he is taking sexual pleasure from his trauma because it's undealt with, unresolved trauma. But this becomes the thing, this relationship, because this is the masochistic ascetic, right? He is not initiating the trauma, although he kind of is because he's paying the guy to do it, but he is not actively initiating the trauma. He is the recipient of this trauma from somebody else, right? But the thing is his whole life is documented. This shit in his brain is documented, and it becomes the reason that he is canonized. He is made a saint for this shit after he dies. He is made a saint for going to such great lengths to demonstrate suffering. Okay, so now you got that. And then the last is the sadistic ascetic. Your favorite, your boy, Gandhi. Gandhi, she names as the sadistic ascetic in this book, because even though he had taken a vow of celibacy, what they call the Brahmacharya, the vow Brahmacharya in Hindu tradition, he refused to remove himself from the company of women and instead took the opposing position. I'm going to surround myself by women. I'm going to force women and young girls to sleep with me naked. I'm going to walk long distances in public with young girls holding their waist or holding their shoulders. I am going to make young girls and women bathe me and shit like that. I'm going to surround myself by the company of women to prove my seminal continence, meaning I will not succumb to the lust of the flesh, and to prove how strong I am in my resistance and rejection of lust, I'm going to surround myself by women. But what Mary Daly talks about, and why this is sadistic, is because of his position in society. These women had no choice. These women weren't willingly sleeping with this dude in the nude. These women weren't. One story even talks about how a man, he went to this man, was like, I want your wife to come and sleep with me naked. He was like, look, man, you say what you need from these women is their vitality and their youth and their health, and I'm way more healthy and way more vital than my wife. I will come in her stead. You leave my wife alone. He was like, I don't want you, because see, you do not possess what she does. Mary Daly calls it spiritual and psychic rape, which is what was happening to these women, because he recognized that there was something inherently present in the female principle that he could not get from males. And so he exploited his position to force these women, whether through shame, whether through the glorification of their families. Go on, girl, over there and sleep with him, go into bed with him and shit like that. So she is demonstrating, though she does not articulate it that way, she is demonstrating the myriad of ways, the sadistic, the masochistic, and the sadomasochistic ways that asceticism presents itself in the world based on the relationship between patriarchal father God religions, the God that they hold up, right? Which is male, which is disembodied, which is pure spirit, who did not require sexual intercourse whatsoever for himself to be present in the material world. That's why he can be aloof. He cannot really be concerned with the suffering of human beings. He cannot intervene in the suffering of human beings or change things dramatically, because he is not concerned, and teaches you not to be concerned with things of this earth. To come unto me, you must hate your father, you must hate your mother, you must hate your children. Yes, you must even hate yourself. Jesus said that. Be concerned not with that which is on earth, right? This justifies, this is the foundational creation of institutions of exploitation. How else can you hold people hostage and them like any animal without, quote, higher consciousness, fighting back even to the death? But us higher consciousness human beings endure and endure and endure and receive and accept and even glorify and even are thankful of our pain and suffering, as it is sure to guarantee us a better spot in heaven. You understand how wicked this is? How insidious, and it plays out everywhere. Listen, philosophically and politically, we get so dismayed. All of us get collectively hurt and traumatized when we hear about some young person being brutalized and murdered by the police, right? Because we recognize that it's vertical violence. It is this system of power demonstrating its power over the powerless. We are moved by it, right? But there's something deeper there. It is this thing that she's talking about, the need for pain and suffering to consistently be on display to justify these chasms that otherwise in the world could never exist. Right? So when you see this happen to some young person, to some person of color, by the state, right? The state becomes the instrument that is ordained, baby, that is fated and ordained to be the sadistic hander down of pain and suffering. The reason there's no genuine empathy for the recipients of that pain and suffering is because subconsciously all of us have been conditioned by these traditions and these religions to accept that Even if they didn't do anything right away, there's something they did to deserve that. And that's what our punishment is for our sins on the world, is pain and suffering. Pain and suffering to prove allegiance to, devotion to, right? A mysterious God. Pain and suffering as punishment for sin. What did I say? That the original reason behind asceticism as a theory was to initiate the pain and suffering necessary to purge one from the sin of being born female and the sin of proximity to femaleness. Because at the end of the day, males get punished too. Why? Because they still have flesh, baby, and their flesh was given to them by their filthy freaking mother. That's why the scripture says that we are all born in sin, that we are all born filthy as a rag. That's what your Bible says. And since you are all born needing repentance, since you are all born sinful from your sinful mama, from her sinful, devilish, diabolical blood, then pain and suffering is always justified against your flesh. Because for males, when it says you must turn away from your mother, you understand, that's not just your mate, just your mama. That's from the earth. That's from femaleness. That is from anything indicative in its relationship to your mother. Males, turn away. The more you can reject the flesh, the more you can reject the lust, the more you can reject the needs, the more you can reject the fulfillment of, the more you can reject the pleasures of the flesh, the closer you are to me and my disembodied self. So think about serial killers who particularly set their sights on whores, prostitutes. Think about the old ancient ideology that is driving that desire for them, seeing themselves in their proximity to the God in their head, white, male, father God, who has no mother, who has never had sex to create his perfect son. You understand? Imagine the mind of a person born to a mother, born from a mother, but also taught since birth to hate females and femaleness. Every male child is born with this conflict seated in them. This conflict is seated in them. Imagine the dichotomy. Imagine the split personalities disorder this human being must be suffering from all the time. To love his mother, to love the person that he knew as an infant was God. The first thing he knew as a child is if she goes too far away, I ain't gonna make it. To love his mother, while at the same time, his young, beautiful, perfect baby self is being conditioned right away to hate femaleness, to hate anything that has a proximity to the female. To grow up and love one's mother, but feel this inexplicable need to harm women. Whether it's to harm, because I ain't just talking about serial killers. I'm talking about everybody born male. To harm women, to be fascinated by the flesh, to be fascinated by this feeling that you get in your body when in the presence of femaleness, but to have been conditioned your whole existence to hate femaleness. So now you see this need, this longing, this lust that you have for the other within the context of brute, warlike conquest. To love women, but to equally hate femaleness. To equally hate femaleness. This is what asceticism has done. And yet, in these spiritual spaces that I go into with well-meaning human beings, that the only way, they still see that the only way that they can have a deep spiritual experience, a deep, impactful spiritual experience that creates epiphanies and breakthroughs unlike they've ever had, is to deny the self is to deny the flesh. It is this narrative that still exists in the secondariness of the flesh, in the lowliness of the flesh, in the inherent filthiness of the flesh, in the inherent wrongness of the flesh that has us believe in our consciousness that our flesh is a prison from which we must escape, from which we must ascend, from which we must, quote, break away from which to which we must harm, to which we must deny, to which we should approach our flesh when in acquisitions of spiritual experiences, like we're in battle, like we're going to war. It is a wicked thing that has been done to the human being, to every human being. It is a wicked thing that has been done to males. It is a wicked thing that has been done to every human being, and every single human being and every flaw that we have is a conditioned flaw that has its seed in this shit, in the growing of patriarchy, and that its first thing, and we see it all the time and we don't know what we're looking at. Its first philosophy was that the son is born to the mother, born to the great goddess, primordial she. And she gives him everything, all the power that he has, all the beauty that he has, all the wisdom that he has. He gives her everything. He gifts her son everything, and it is not enough. At some point, for some reason, he says it's not enough for me to be given these gifts and these powers and this beauty and this wisdom by my mother. I must become my mother. I must become like God. And in order to become like God, I must slay her. I must murder her and absorb her power. This is in every story, you name it, and I'll tell you where it shows up. This is in every fairy tale, this original relationship, this original assault on the mother. It's everywhere. It's in Kemetic tradition. It is in Ifa tradition. It is in all European tradition. It is in Babylon. It is in Sumeria. As a matter of fact, Babylon and Sumer is probably the oldest telling of this story of the son who rises against his mother. He slays God in an attempt to become God. And what this does is set us on a 6,000-year trajectory of absolute madness. The journey of the last 6,000 years is to re-become, is to move through this period created by the son gone rogue, created by the son forgetting that he is because she is, forgetting what life was like within the embrace of her mother, of his mother. And in his separation from his mother, in his digression from his mother, madness takes hold and runs amok through time. Now, I talk to y'all regularly about yin-yang theory, about the yin and the yang, and how this story is a political story. The yin and yang, the son gone rogue. Because Lao Tzu said that in all things, we must embrace the yin. We must embrace the mother, because the yin is the mother. The yang is not the father. The yang is the son, the S-O-N, the S-U-N. It is fire. It is ether, right? It is testosterone. It is masculinity. It is noon, what we call noon. In yin-yang theory, it is called utmost yang. It is the personification of the period in human history where the sun, the S-U-N and the S-O-N, rule unbridled, rule unanchored to its mother, where the mother has been completely removed from the creative process. And in this world, categorized by utmost yang, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, where no yin is present, that is personified by the cross at the top, the positive symbol, the northern pole, the extreme pole. In this period in human history, personified, oh my God, y'all, oh my God. I'm in this period, personified by utmost yang, where no darkness remains, where the mother is completely removed, right? Lao Tzu said that in utmost yang, that yang by its nature and every personification is destructive by nature, that yang is destructive by nature. The only way that yang is beneficial is through its mother. That's what Lao Tzu says 6,000 years ago or so. The only way that yang is beneficial is through his mother. What does that mean politically? What does that mean in the world that we live in today? I was telling y'all a couple of weeks ago about all these spiritual people, all these new age people, always talking about the light and the light and the light, right? But we are living in real time in the age of utmost yang. What is utmost yang? As the ancients saw it, when you have a sundial and you're trying to tell time, right? You have a sundial and you know when it is high noon because there is no shadow cast when the sun is directly above head, right? There's no shadow cast. So that's how you tell when utmost yang is on earth. It's noon, right? What does utmost yang look like politically? What does utmost yang look like spiritually? God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Yang is white, right? Like you see the yin yang is white. So it's white, God the Father, white, God the Son, white, God the Holy Spirit, the white dove, you feel me? Right? This is utmost yang, what it looks like spiritually today, right? What does utmost yang look like politically or even environmentally? Utmost yang is the Sahara Desert. That it's easy for us to look at the Sahara Desert and say, oh, that's the Sahara Desert. It is harder for us to realize and understand and remember and recognize that that used to be beautiful, forested, fertile land with rivers and tributaries, the Nile. It is difficult for us today. We assume the Sahara has always been there. We forget that it used to be fertile, that it used to be the center of civilization, right? And so the desert is the personification in real time of utmost yang. No trees, no soil to plant shit from, no water, you understand? Limited life, you feel me? And if spiritually you are in the Sahara, which we are, spiritually, we are in the Sahara. And spiritually, if you're in the Sahara, are you praying for the light? If you was in the Sahara Desert right now, your water done ran out of your canteen, you feel me? There's no tree in sight. It's high noon in the Sahara. When you are praying your prayers in the Sahara Desert with no water and light above head, are you praying for more light? If you are in the Sahara with no water, which is yin, and no trees, which is yin, and no life, which is yin, and no flesh, which is yin, are you praying for the light? Are you praying for more light? You are praying for sunset. That's what you're praying for. You're praying for the night and the relief that it offers. You are praying for what? You are praying for an oasis. You're praying for some palm trees and some coconuts and some water. You are praying for a boulder to mysteriously appear in the middle of the desert so you can find a little bit of reprieve in its shade. That's what you're praying for the dark. You're praying for the wet. You're praying for the damp. You're praying for the dark. You're praying for the mother in the sun. You are. And so here we are in our conditioning to still see everything as light, as good, and everything as dark, as wicked, as evil, as synonymous with she. I just heard a song on a Christian YouTube channel the other day, because they've been saying everything but what they saying. You understand? Tiptoeing around the issue and shit, because they need women, they need femaleness. So they haven't, at least historically, been bold enough to just say outright what their philosophy teaches all of us inherently. And I heard this song on this Christian this Christian YouTube channel called Satan is a Woman. Satan is a woman. Satan is a woman, you see. And let me pull this out that I was going to show y'all. You feel me? Because this is the issue of the day. And y'all ain't going to like it. Y'all going to have a problem with it. It doesn't change that it's the issue of the day. All the philosophies hidden in plain sight, telling us the same thing over and over and over again. In science, you have the poles. You have the positive pole and the negative pole. This is what this space represents on the yin yang. That is what this space right here represents on the yin yang. This is utmost yang, meaning no yin present, all white, all fire, all destructive. This is utmost yin. This is midnight. This is midnight during a new moon, a black moon. No yang in sight, because the full moon is what gives us the little yang in the midnight. You feel me? And if Christ, as the personification of utmost yang in this period, why is Christ, oh my God, why is Christ the personification of utmost yang in this period? Based on this picture here. Because Christ is what? The personification of the age of Pisces. What does this look like? This is the two fish. The yin and yang is the two fish of the Pisces. That's what it is. Christ is the personification, the Piscean personification of the sun, the sun, in the age of Pisces. Christ is the solar deity personification of utmost yang expressed in the world, politically, philosophically, spiritually. It's not a coincidence that Christ is represented by a cross. This symbol is a couple thousand years older than Christianity. It's not a coincidence that Christ, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, the sun and the son, as manifest as God in the Piscean age. Here, the Trinity. And if this is what we are living in, what did Morpheus call it in the Matrix? What did he call the Matrix? He said to Neo, "Welcome to the desert of the real." Isn't that what he said? He said, "Welcome to the desert of the real." The real is our life right now under Abrahamic religions, peak personification as God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, white, male, because what? Yang is white. Yang is fire. Yang is, what did Lao Tzu say? Always destructive unless harmoniously anchored by his mother. Always destructive. What's an example? We can't live without oxygen, but oxygen without the mother is highly combustible and destructive. You feel me? So if Christ is the personification of our astrological move through the Piscean age, and that age is ending, what is the Antichrist of the Revelation? It is the rise of the deep, dark, black, primordial mother. That's what it is. It's not a coincidence that this Chinese New Year that we just entered into on the brink of the full transition, our full transition into the Aquarian age, which will be complete in the transitional phase on November 19th of 2024, that this would be the year of the wood dragon. Who is the wood dragon? It is the tree of life, the wood, the tree of life that connects heaven and earth. And it is the primordial mother, always represented by a cosmic dragon. Y'all don't want to hear that, though. Y'all do not want to hear, and I understand why, because your conditioning is deep. But you don't want to hear the solution to all that ails the world. What ails the world is that we have been subdued by a philosophy that justifies the pain and suffering of the many for the benefit of the few. And that it has a old, long history and origin of the original war, which was a gender war, where the son murdered his mother. And we have spiraled out of control ever since. But the mother is reemerging and staking her claim. Yes, she is. She is at work on every last one of us, and you know it. You know it, and that's why your ass is uncomfortable. You know that she is at work on you, and that's why you are uncomfortable, you see. And that's the way forward. Courtney Self-Care says, what's the solution? I just told you the solution. That if you want to counter the brigandage that has unleashed itself on the world for the better portion of 6,000 years, then you better openly, enthusiastically embrace the emergence of the mother, the reemergence of the one. She who binds us all. And what do we have to lose? We don't have anything to lose by re-embracing the emergence of the mother. What does that look like politically? What does that look like ecologically to re-embrace the mother? What does it look like socially to re-embrace the mother? What does it look like culturally to re-embrace the emergence of the one? What does it look like in our own neighborhood, in our own communities to embrace the re-emergence of the one? I just told you. If the God that has rained hell on your life is what? The personification of unbridled, utmost young, unanchored, wild, radical ass. Utmost young. What is the antithesis? That's why they call it the Antichrist. Because the Antichrist in the Revelation is the personification of the opposite of what has happened in the last age. Think I'm lying? Your Bible tells it to you if you know how to read your book. When Jesus is getting ready to depart the planet, he tells his disciples, I will return. I will return. What does he say? He says, they was like, well, where will you be? And he said, go into this city. And in this city, what's the city? Bethlehem. What does the city of Bethlehem represent? Virgo, the virgin. That's what Bethlehem represents. It says, go into this city. And in this city, you will find a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him there into the house which he goes. This is where you will find me. This is where I'll be. The SUN's personification into the Aquarian age. He tells them right there in the book, but we believe something else because of our conditioning. He says, I am the SUN, and I will return in a new age, in a new era. The book says a new eon is what it says. And he says, when I return, this is how you will recognize me. Find a man bearing a pitcher of water. All of his attributes, all of the characteristics of Aquarius, the man bearing the pitcher of water. He says, follow him into the house therein, and there I will be. Well, what is the personification of Aquarius in this age? Why does the revelation follow this proclamation by Jesus? because the revelation is a foretelling of our entry into the Aquarian age. It is not about some big ass bad guy. It's not about no white guy called the Antichrist. It is about what power will look like in the Aquarian age. What will happen to humanity in the Aquarian age? And it is terrifying. That's why it's always told like a horror story. It is terrifying to those who have maintained a stranglehold on power. That's why it's told as a horror story. Because it is scary when you see your hold on the reins of power disappearing in front of your eyes. This is what behooves us to what did I tell y'all the other night? To tolerate small abuses clears the way for greater abuses to occur. But on the other hand, to grab the reins of power and to begin to make your stand clears the way for more of that power to manifest through you. That's what she calls on us to do, is to confidently, radically, honey, take hold of the reins of power that have been handed to us cosmically. That's what the entry into the Aquarian age means. The entry into the Aquarian age means freedom across the board. That's why people are uncomfortable with the question of gender politics. Because the Aquarian age says, bitch, everything that you have been taught by the prior age must be set ablaze so that you can emerge from the ashes as the new age, as the phoenix of the new age, which promises magic, which promises power that is not top-down power, that is collective empowerment. That's why it promises sexual freedom and liberation. That's why it promises a freedom up from our consciousness of the chains that have bound our consciousness all this time. What is the role that we must play? Is this going to be some mythological, invisible, spiritual abstraction that just sweeps through the goddamn planet? No, it's not. Because what does this teach us? That the goddess, that the mother is embodied. She's not somewhere the fuck off there somewhere looking down on us, just playing, pulling our strings. She is embodied. Who is she embodied in? Every single one of the 8 billion inhabitants on this planet. Now, whether they realize it or not is another question. Whether they remember or not is a different question, you see. So it is going to be flesh and blood and bone that sets this shit the fuck off. It is going to be meetings like this, meetings like our studies on Wednesday night that get real deep. You feel real. This is superficial. This is puddle drop deep compared to how we get on Wednesday night. But it is going, this shit that we are, and that's what I told them on this meeting on Wednesday night. Now, you might come on here for entertainment, you understand, but that is not why I'm here. And that is not why you are here, whether you know it or not. You are here because the mother has a call on your life, and she is pulling on your damn consciousness, invading your dreams every fucking day, making you uncomfortable with the way the world is every day. What you call a conscience, that's your mother. You don't have to be a spiritualist to believe what I'm saying. You can be a scientist, you can be an atheist and understand clearly what I'm talking about. Even scientists have to concede that the earth is a living, breathing, sentient entity sustaining the life of her inhabitants. And if that is the case, that she is a living, breathing, sentient being, then you are her. You are of her, no different than the trillion or so cells in your own body. They are you. You are they. And that's the call that's being made on your life. It ain't some ambiguous, some the fuck off where in the goddamn fifth dimension or some shit y'all always trying to escape to. There is no escaping. You are here because you are supposed to be. You are here because she has a call on your goddamn existence. You are here because you are the peculiar and perfect personification of your mother's will executed on earth. The question that you must ask yourself is, are you ready to heed the call on your goddamn life? The question that you must answer for yourself is, do I even want to remember why she put me here? Because you understand? And so while some of y'all go into ayahuasca to fucking see butterflies and shit, some of y'all eat mushrooms and do Cambo and do all of this shit as a form of escapism. That's what it is. Because if to step both feet first into any of these medicines and not be open and willing to hear, completely hear, even that shit you don't want to hear, what she has to say, you are looking for methods of escape, boo. That's all. And I hate to hurt your feelings about it, because I know a lot of good people who be doing this plant medicine and going in with the wrong spirit and the wrong intention. And I'm gonna give it to you blood raw. I'm not gonna coddle you. I'm not going to be gentle with your emotions. We are in a fight to prove ourselves worthy to remain. Because I done told y'all, we don't have to save the planet. We don't have to save the earth. Yes, we done wreaked havoc on the planet, but we don't have to save the earth, baby. She will shake us off like fleas if we do not comply. This is her giving us an opportunity to stake our claim, baby, to say, yes, I gladly, joyfully, happily, willingly, ecstatically comply to the will of my mother, because all she has in store for me is my greatest wishes and my greatest ambition. All she wants to feed herself is to see us happy. That's real. All she wants from her is what any mother wants from her children, is to see us happy. She is fed when we are happy. She is filled when we are joyful. She doesn't require asceticism from us. She don't require no fasting and prayer, boo. Sure don't. She does not require us laying on our fucking belly or falling on our goddamn knees, weeping and sobbing. She has not required any of that shit from us to continue to provide for fruit to still fall off trees, for water to still run freely for us to consume. She gives us everything and more that we could ever desire, and we reject her for some invisible, aloof, mass murdering megalomaniac called Yahweh, God, Allah, whatever the fuck name you want to give him on any given day, that always justifies our suffering, that always holds up and glorifies how many ways we can despair. Madness. That's what's wrong with the earth. That's what's wrong with the planet. That's what's wrong with every single solitary one of us. Our mother is sick of despair. She is sick of suffering. She is sick of seeing us weak and starving and lamentful and woeful. She is sick of it. This is the call that she's made on our goddamn life. When you seek her face, ask her. It's simple. That's what I did. I was like, look, I just want to remember. I feel a pull. I feel that I have a big destiny in front of me, but I am not clear. Show me why I chose this life. Help me to remember really why I am here. And baby, she took me on a roller coaster ride of 8 motherfucking hours to stay. Even as huge as your destiny is, you still have a choice. You don't have to comply. This is why you chose your life. We just want you to see it. We want you to remember that's what you asked for. But you still have free will. You can say, no, this is too big for me. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I was tripping. I'm not doing this. And I had that argument with I had that argument with her. I was like, this is too much. This is too much. This is too much. She said, well, baby, this is what you chose. This is why you chose your parents. This is why you chose a line of fates. Fate uncle, Fate junior, Fate senior, Fate the third and the second. And all the mothers that saw the need to name their son's fate. My great-great-grandfather, my great-great-great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my oldest uncle. You are the fates. Every one of you portal opening humans are a fate through which the destinies of all around you are transformed just by your presence in the space. Are you ready to execute my will on earth? Are you ready? Woo-hoo! Are you ready to be the Antichrist personified in the new age that is guaranteed to usher in the end of suffering? To usher in an age of radical evolution, to plant the seeds in the imaginations of babies born in this age, the seeds of imagination of a world made well, no longer um no longer defined by how well we can suffer, by how much we have to persevere through suffering. This is your work to do. This is the moment for it to be done. This space right in between, baby, that we've been in since 2008. This space right in between the end, not only of the Piscean age, but the great year, the end of the great eon, the great year, 25,000 years, rounding out at the same time as the end of this most tumultuous age in human history. As we step into the new 25,000 year cycle at the same exact time that we are stepping into this radical, beautiful, completely full of raw but naked potential new age that is called the Aquarian age. This is why, Cassandra, you had to be born when you were born. This is why your mother gave you the name that you have. This is why you chose the line that you chose to be born into. Right in this pivotal period in human history. Everybody alive and conscious in this period is purposeful. This period is going to be the age. This period that we're in right now. These movements that we make over the next 7 and 10 years are going to be age-defining years. Where 2, 3, 5, 10,000 years from now, people will say, those motherfuckers, remember that age? Remember the 2020s, the decade of clear vision where all was made seen, where all mysteries were removed, where all dirt done in the dark and behind closed doors was revealed. Those motherfuckers right there are responsible for the world that we live in right now. This is the call on every last one of us. Ain't nothing special about me. I am the peculiar personification of my mother's will on earth. Just like everybody else is the peculiar and necessary, perfect personification of the mother's will on earth. The question you have to ask yourself is, will you heed the call and comply? That's all. And compliance is going to be uncomfortable because your conditioning is deep. Compliance will initially be uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable for you to hear me say this as a Black woman with nappy hair and tattoos on her face and a big ass nose and a big ass belly. It's uncomfortable for you to hear this coming from me. Now, if I was some Hindu dude with a motherfucking turban on talking all stoic about the spirit and enlightenment, you could totally receive that. If I was some white preacher in a suit and tie saying the same thing, you could easily receive it. Mm-hmm. If I was a white woman in a sari and shit, you would be more apt to receive it. You see, you uncomfortable with the face of power being embodied in a Black woman. These are the kind of uncomfortabilities you are going to have to embrace if you are serious about changing the world. I'm just telling you what it is. The thing that makes you most uncomfortable, the next question you need to be asking yourself in your own spirit and in your own consciousness, why does this cause so much uneasiness in my spirit? Maybe I should be turning towards it because my conditioning is having me turn away from it. Why do I feel triggered to hear the voice of God come from the mouth of a Black woman? Maybe I need to be asking myself what my conditioning is trying to communicate to me and rebel against it. I'm just telling you what it is. Now you can receive it, or you can, leave it where it's at. But if you ask me what's the solution, I'm going to tell you every time. I'm going to tell you every time. The compliance to the will of the mother is to embrace everything that is opposing to that which you have been conditioned to accept. That means your white Jesus. That means your white God. That means your Allah. That means your what's his Yahweh. That means your Buddha. That means your Krishna. That means your Shiva. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Every idea, every philosophy, everything that has conditioned you away from the mother, baby, this is what you better be ready to be receiving. That's the starting point. Because to change your mind is to change your behavior. To change your beliefs is to ensure the changing of your behavior. It's not enough to know. How does the knowing inform your behavior? How does the acquisition of knowledge change and inform your behavior? How is it translated to wisdom? What's the difference between knowledge and wisdom? Somebody know? Wisdom is embodied. What does your Bible say? Your Bible in Proverbs and in Psalms says wisdom is a woman. That's what the Bible say. It didn't say knowledge is a woman. It said wisdom is a woman. That's what your scriptures say. Somebody call me a liar, because I'll pull it up right now. Wisdom is a woman. That's in your own ugly ass Bible. Wisdom is a woman because wisdom is embodied. It is the transforming of acquired information, what you call knowledge. It is the acquiring of knowledge. And through what did I tell y'all 2 weeks ago? Through the practice of actionable discernment, that knowledge is transformed into wisdom, which is in the flesh, which is in the heart, which is in the body, which is in the blood and bone, and informs how you behave in the world, how you move in the world. So I don't care what you think you know. And I tell y'all this all the time. That's what evolution is. It is the constant, actionable discernment of new and old ideas, and in any given period in our life, determining if they continue to be useful or if they're no longer useful. If new ideas that come in, do they apply to me or do they not apply? So I'll tell y'all, that's why I told you I will never take another video. I'll never take a video down, because some idea that I had a year ago may be wrong today. Doesn't mean it wasn't wrong and applicable then. It means that's what the evolutionary process looks like. The constant coming in of information, the constant process of actionable discernment that informs our flesh, our body, our blood, and our bones. Is this for me? Is this applicable? Will this change my behavior for the better? Will I become better as a consequence of what I have acquired as knowledge? So I don't get into debates. I don't get into debates with people, and y'all should know that. I don't have the time for it. I know what I know because everything that I accept as an idea has been applied in the real world, in the material world, through actionable discernment. And if at some juncture I learn and acquire new information from someone, then I will discern for myself if that information is discernible through action. And it will become a part of me. It will become a part of the new and always evolving and emerging me. Every day, we are evolving and emerging. Every day. You understand? So, the one thing that I can tell you, I am certain will be unchanging is my position that the way to the future that is beautiful, that is joyful, that is free and independent and governed and defined by happiness and sovereignty and safety and sanity, the future is black. The future is black. The future is black. That which makes every last one of you motherfuckers on earth the most comfortable, that's where the future is. The future is black. The future is the black of our hidden history. The future is the black of those things kept from us to exploit us. The future is the black of the schools of mysteries that have meant to mystify and raise up those who are our sons above us. The future is black, baby. The future is black. If you in the desert, you ain't praying for more sun. You ain't praying for more light. You praying for shade. You praying for sunset. You understand? You praying for midnight. The future is black. You understand? So that's all I got to say about that. I did want to try, if people are still hanging with me, because I see a lot of y'all up on here. Honey dip chocolate, lotus flower. That's up. That's what's up, girlfriend. Marie, Carly, T, Solitaire Wisdom, Black Widow Row, Samar KO, Balance. I know I done kept y'all on here a long time. Facebook user still never revealed themselves. If you still there, 007 Kemet, Prana, okay, Obasi in the house. What? So Bethlehem is currently in Palestine. Guess they're gonna fight and unalive every woman of color there for a long time to come. Oh, Chloe Dior. Let's see who we got over here on IG. We got Courtney Self-Care, Escobar Felix, Sarah Phoenix, DJ Miniman, Son of Ugly Band. That's a cool name. Courtney Self-Care and Hello Suds. So, LeJay, what's up? So what I wanted to do, because I've never done it before and I've been wanting to try, is to see, because there's a way that you can invite. Yes, you can invite people who are on the chat. This is through my StreamYard. So those of you who are tuning in via IG, you would have to either go through my YouTube or my Facebook channel, which is also streaming live right now, to get up on this chat. Those of you who are on the chat and who participated in the book club last week, I just wanted to see if anybody would be interested in coming on live with me and saying how they felt about the book club process, any insights that you may have taken away from the book club discussions up until this point. So just like send me a message or a hands up or something like that if you want me to bring you on to the live. So basically it'd be like a split screen, and you could, say for a few moments, like, how you've been experiencing the book club. That's what I'm most interested in. And that's how this long ass discussion came to be, was about this question of the hidden manifestations of asceticism in modern society. Anybody? LeJay, I know, were you on the, LeJay was on the call this week, or the last one. T was on the call. Who else was on there? Samar was on the call. Marie, were you on the call this past week? I don't think so. Yeah. If you were on any of the Facebook calls, it doesn't just have to be this one. Not Facebook calls, if anybody was on any of the Zoom book club workshop calls up until this point and would like to offer some feedback or some insights about what you got from it or whatever, yeah, just give me a hands up and I'll bring you into the live. I want to do this a little more often. Okay, so apparently nobody has any feedback from the study group. Nobody, no feedback from the study group. That 5-hour study group that we was on, that was so impactful. Ain't nobody got nothing to say about that. Okay, anybody? Oh, okay. Who is the Facebook user? Facebook user, tell me what your name is, because for some reason StreamYard does not show who you are. Facebook user, who are you? Tell me who you is. Oh, Trinity. Oh, okay. Is it the same Facebook user? Okay, Trinity. Okay. Lotus Flower, Sister D, you want to say something? You want to come on here live with me for a minute or two? I ain't seen you around in a minute. Okay, Trinity, I got you. No, nobody? Okay then. Don't nobody want to come on. Ain't nobody got nothing to say. Abasi, you probably tired of me right now. We talked on the phone for like 3 hours yesterday. Nobody else. Samara, you ain't got nothing to say? T, I'm putting y'all on the spot. T, y'all ain't got nothing to say? Marie Carly, you ain't got nothing to say? Okay. Okay. All right. I got one. Since I guilted y'all enough. Let's see. Let's see. This is my first time doing it, so just got to bear with me. All right, let's see here. There should be a simpler way to do that, but whatever. All right, just give me a minute. This is my crash course in bringing people on, so we'll see how this works. Let's see. Compose. To yes. All right, so let's see if that worked. Okay. Okay, Abasi. Okay, T, check your email address. It says I had to send the link to your email address. I just sent you the email link. Yeah. Yes, Abasi. Check your it says it will give you instructions on how to come on. I don't know. Let's see. Cropped out. There's got to be an easier way to do this. News layout. Let's see. Settings. I want to try this before we get off the call because I'll be more apt to do it more often. Let's see. Shift 2. Cropped layout. Spotlight. Okay. T, did you check your email? I wonder. Oh, I see you. Okay, I see you. Hold on. Add to stage. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, let me mute.
So what's up, sis? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Do you want me to turn my camera on?
That would be great.
Okay. Cool.
Yay. Hey. What's up, sister?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. I like this. I might have to do this all the time.
You know I don't do this. I stay off the camera.
Well, you shouldn't. You look beautiful. So tell me, what you think?
I really like the book club. When I found your channel through Erica De Niro, and then I saw her, you were doing the live with Lotus Flower, and I heard you talking, and I was like, huh, I never heard something like this coming from a Black woman, because, it's a lot of Black women are pretty wrapped up in Abrahamic religions, or they're very male centered. So when I heard you speaking, I was like, wow, okay, I like this. So I started listening more, and I was like, oh, she's dropping some gems. I would always think and feel that way about certain things, but hearing it from somebody else, I'm like, okay, you're not crazy. You're just in the minority.
Yes.
So yes. I really like the book club. I think it's amazing. It's when you're around powerful women, you want to stay on topic, but it's like you can't stay on top because then there's magic happen. And magic is happening. Everybody is vibing with each other. We're saying, "Oh, this happened to me," and then another person's like, "Oh, that happened to me too." And we just go. It all connects though. It's really good. I appreciate it. It's feeding me. It's giving me energy, and it's helping me through like this Saturn return that I'm about to
Oh,
dive
snap.
headfirst
Oh,
into.
snap.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
no. Girl said,
fast.
massive said massive intentions. Said massive intentions.
Yeah.
Because Saturn return does not have to be a bad thing. It can be
No.
really emboldening and empowering. But you
Yeah.
have to be real deliberate going into that joint.
Yeah, we're uncovering a lot of things. It's happening really fast, but it's good. I love it. Like being around other women like me, so I don't feel like I'm going crazy. Like I don't feel like I'm the only one that has these moments to where like that can't be real. Or like you say
Yes.
something and it's not the status quo, and then it's like people are like boop boop boop, malfunction detected, and they start spouting the script. And you're like, oh, you're not like me. So you have to, when you find, it's good to find your tribe. That makes me feel safe. So I'm like, okay, I can talk about these things with these women, and I don't feel like the minority.
That's what's up. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And Mary Daly, she be snatching edges. She pulling your baby hair. She pulling your wig. She pulling everything off. So
Yes, baby. Listen, I have to give y'all what is it, a disclaimer. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the tender spirited. It is not for those that are easily triggered. Because Mary Daly, you remember we were talking about the other book that she wrote. It was called, I think it was called Quintessence or something like that. We haven't read it yet. But on the cover, and it's an old ass woman. And on the cover, she got the double-edged axe holding it like this.
Yeah.
That's how she stepped in the room every time.
As
She
a
said,
sensitive person, like here, as a sensitive person who's like, I'm like, okay, then I hear you reading it. I'm like, oh, she's talking about me. Let me listen to what she's saying.
Listen, I was like, I was feeling some kind of way often.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like,
oh
okay,
no. Why she gotta shame a bitch? Like,
right, like prepare me, like give me a warning or something. But it's
baby,
good. I love the book. I just got The Great Cosmic Mother, so I'm about to dive into that. But I've been hearing people talk about it.
That's a word.
And I'm like,
that's a word.
It's a lot of deprogramming is happening. So here we are.
Yeah, you remember that line in what's the name of that damn song? Formation by Beyonce.
Oh yeah.
She said, I did not come to play with you hoes, bitch. I came to slay. That's Mary. Every time you crack open the spine of the book, she said, bitch, I came to slay. That's
that was in the 80s. So
1983, and Mary was wreaking havoc and raining holy hell, baby.
And I know they was like, ain't nobody gonna listen to her anyway. But here we are in 2024.
Yeah, I appreciate this feedback. I appreciate this whole little process. I like
know.
This.
You know, I like to hide myself, so you get me out of my shell a little bit.
That's what's up. Let's see. Mary Daly, habitual toe stepper. Yes.
Snatcher.
Yes. I co-sign on that assessment. Yes. Yes. Who else got something to say up on here? 007 Kemet says, how do I join the book club? So what you need to do is just email me. So for those that are interested and have been listening to this conversation, email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. Center@gmail.com, and I will send you all the information about the book club and its happenings. It happens every second and fourth Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm actually considering changing the time because we be going so hard and so long, and y'all, it'd be like 3-4 o'clock in the morning when we get off the call. For some of y'all, I'm like, maybe I need to pull this, like reel this back to like 3 or 4 or something. I don't know. We'll talk about it. But it's been really exciting. What's been really revealing, at least for me in the book club with the people who have been participating, is that people are from everywhere. People are from everywhere. They're from the Northeast, they're from the Midwest, they're from the South, predominantly from the South. They're from the South, they're from out here. I've had a couple of people in several of the book clubs. One woman tuned in from India, another dude tuned in from Poland, another woman tuned in from New Zealand, and one from South Africa. So, this is the medium, and I love it. I'm here for it. This is the medium that the mother is choosing to use to link people who otherwise wouldn't have no contact with one another. And the other thing that it does is so many, especially of the young women that have been on the calls, and the calls are open for anybody. Right now, it's just been women who've been participating in the book club. But like in the book club for the Great Cosmic Mother, we often had males participate in the Great Cosmic Mother book club. So I really want to encourage males to, and others for that matter, to participate in the book clubs, because these book clubs, just like the Great Cosmic Mother book club, it was the book club that gave birth to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Those people who were the hardcore participants in the book club for the Great Cosmic Mother, the last day that we closed out the book club, I was like, okay, so like what we gonna do? Like, was y'all just here for the book club? And they were like, what you mean? I said, because I need a committee for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And 4 people was like, I'm with it. And that's how that, and 2 weeks later, we were filing the paperwork. So that's how the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence came to be. That's what I mean by action. You understand? I'm not interested in information consumption, just all ambiguous and shit. You feel me? Like when we acquire information, bitch, we about to apply that shit in the real world in some way. So what you gonna do? Now, I had to warn the members of the book club the same thing. Like, y'all might just be here because it's nice to see other women on the page and shit. But just know that at the end of this thing, I'm probably gonna have homework for y'all. I'm probably gonna have homework for y'all. You understand? Because this, to me, especially the book clubs, it's like what I imagine had to happen before every great social movement, religion was born. It didn't just emerge. There was a behind the scenes process that took place. There was a sharpening of ideas behind closed doors. There was like, well, what you think? I read it like this, but what you think? And then there, you know what I'm saying? And then, well, let's go out and do something. You know what I'm saying? Let's go feed some people. Let's go heal some sick people or some shit, and see what happens when we start talking about these radical new ideas that ain't nobody really been talking about. Every religion, I suspect, in its origin, before it became an instrument of oppression, began that way, right? Like that's what they tell you in the Bible. That's how Jesus started, just roaming through the countryside, talking to people and seeing who was down with what he was talking about. You feel me? So that's the way I envision the book club process, is that, one of these days in the distant future, they're going to be like, damn, you understand? Them women was in that damn book club, didn't even know they was creating a new world. Didn't even know that this was what it was going to yield. All they had was what they had to go on. You feel me?
And the gifts they got, the gifts they were given, that's about it. Yeah, the ones that know, I mean, everybody has them, but some people, I think some people never realize that they have them, and then some people know they have them, but they don't really know how to like put them into action.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that, because when we were talking in the beginning about asceticism and the way that it permeates society, every aspect of our life is permeated by this philosophy that justifies and holds up pain and suffering, and how it is one of the things that they rely on. Is, what did they say? She said the foundation is to make sure that women never remember, that they never get together and they never remember. Because in the Great Cosmic Mother, Barbara Moore says it is the forced isolation of women, and Mary Daly says it is the forced and imposed amnesia of women that makes it so that patriarchy will forever remain if we do not remember, and if we do not regroup, if we do not reunite as women. Right. And so when we talk about, like, without the proper information, without the history, without the true integrated real history We will always witness something or see something happening in the world and come to the wrong conclusion about what caused it or how it happened. We'll forever come to a conclusion that still benefits somebody else. They need us to stay coming to the wrong conclusions about what it is we're witnessing. They need us to not know the ontological origins of what it is we're witnessing, and this is how it plays out in real time. Because the past is forever present. The past doesn't go away. The past lives forever. It is ever present. Every historical event that has ever happened is like a stone in a still lake. It reverberates out in every direction forever and ever. Forever and ever. The past is ever present. And that's why we need to have amnesia. The past is ever present. And if these bitches ever remember who they are and where they came from, it's a wrap. The past is ever present. And we cannot afford for anyone, females or others, or even males, to remember the supremacy of the mother. Therefore, we must preoccupy their lives with pain and suffering. We must preoccupy their lives with pain and suffering so that they never have a spare moment to be still and remember, to be still and hear her voice creep through their goddamn cellular DNA. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I've started doing that too. Like, because usually when I'm meditating or I'm just around relaxing, I always have music playing because I love music. I'm a Pisces. It just go together. But recently, you know, I got a Reiki attunement Saturday. So they say, you know, channel your energy, meditate, be silent, like be still, figure out what needs to come to the surface because it's going to come up anyway. So I've been not just sitting in silence, sometimes in the dark, sometimes just I'm in the apartment by myself. I'll be silent. And the things that I hear in my head, I'm just like, oh, we didn't know that was there.
Are you journaling?
Yes, I am journaling.
No matter
I'll
how.
never forget. I was laying in bed in silence. And I heard, this bitch is dying. And I was like, no, I said it out loud. I said, this bitch is dying. And I was like, who's dying? Then I sat with it and I was like, oh, I realized why I'm having these sudden outbursts of emotion and these feelings. I was like, oh, I'm grieving the old me. Ooh. So all these old things are going away. Ooh. But it's scary because she dying. We don't know who this other person is. So you're literally going through this stages of grief. Baby. And then you're aware, all right, that's going away. Who am I? You're shedding all the indoctrination that you grew up with from the time you were born, all the societal expectations.
Come on in the room.
Literally everything. Everything is foreign to you because what you thought was you, this person that you thought was you, is not you. So you're realizing, oh, maybe I don't like men, or maybe I don't believe that a woman came from a man's rib because that makes sense. So I think it's good that we can sit with ourselves and just have these moments to where like, oh, that's what that means. Oh, that's why I do that. And then you can start working through it.
Yes. I'm going to tell you and that's why I was saying earlier that we have to face those things that cause us discomfort, because the discomfort is probably temporary anyway. You understand? Oh, Phoenix. Okay. We have to get comfortable with the discomfort of the unknown. See, that's what, when we talked the other night about how, 120 years of dystopian books and films about all the different ways that the world is going to end, or how humanity is going to be terrible and the future is always to be dreaded. That is what gives us this chronic anxiety about the future. We do not look at the future or to the future with certainty and with hopefulness and with happiness and with anticipation, like, yes, bitch, what's going to happen tomorrow? If today was awesome, like, I can't wait to see what tomorrow is going to bring. We don't ever face the future that way. And it is because for 120 years of this technological advance called modern cinema, we have been conditioned to fear the future, to fear evolution, to fear progress. We long for the good old days. We long for what was. Why can't shit just stay the same? And so even in our daily lives, even in our own just basic living, we always approach tomorrow with dread, the future with fear. And it has us in this constant state of like just terror, real terror,
worry.
right?
Yeah.
Based in our uncertainty, right? And to have some to have some woman tell the world that the future is not to be feared. The future is certain. The future is certain. The future should be hailed, should be welcomed with a party and a ticker tape parade. You know what I'm saying? That the evolution is inevitable. Why fear what is inevitable? Listen, you don't have a choice where evolution is concerned, boo. You don't have a choice. That's the one thing you don't have a choice about. You don't have a choice about the unfolding of evolution. Now, you can resist evolution and it will be more painful, or you can welcome and embrace that evolution always means the best, always yields the best. We are new, not backwards. We are new every day, and we every day become a better version of our former self. That's what evolution scientifically guarantees, is that the best of the line, that the best of the genes, that the best of the DNA, that the best of the experiences allows us to move and live and exist in a more harmonious relationship with our environment, with our surroundings, with each other, and with our mother. Evolution is always something to be looked forward to. It's always something to be excited about, right? It is only within the context of world religions created politically to hogtie us to dogmas that teach us to be fearful of the future, to teach us to dread the future, to teach us to be opposed to evolution, because for us to evolve guarantees their imminent demise. It guarantees it. That's not my opinion. That's science. Mm-hmm. You understand? And so, you know, I have this idea that, and I say this often. I just had this conversation last night, where we have been conditioned to accept the permanency of patriarchy for some 6,000 years, right? And 6,000 years seems like a long time, but it's literally a drip in the bucket of our known human existence, our known human experience, right? And this thing that we have been experiencing is not permanent. It's fallible. And it is fighting for its life. It's fighting for its ability to remain in a world, whether it's conscious of it or not, is rejecting it. The whole world is saying patriarchy cannot exist any longer. Patriarchy cannot continue to exist, or none of us will survive. None of us will survive. And can we, as individuals who are a part of the body of the one, we are united in our sameness because of our connection to the one, every last one of us. And can we accept that? The uterus, the temple of evolutionary emergence, the temple of the original evolutionary emergence, the transforming of abstract spiritual spirit into a force, a physical force that can impact matter. Can we accept that the uterus is what binds us all, is what we all have in common? regardless of our tradition, our spiritual beliefs, our background, our wealth, our poverty, that we all have a uterus to thank for our existence on earth. And that uterus is a descendant of the great primordial one. If we can move from that place, we can make some shit happen. We
Absolutely.
can make, I'm telling you, we can make shit happen.
And they bank on
And
you not questioning. They
say
bank
that
on
again.
you not they bank on you not questioning things
Oh
and
yes,
not coming into your own.
yes,
They bank on
yes.
you agreeing with, hey, you need to be Christian, this Christian straight, this like that's it. That's what they bank on. So when you start pulling away from that, like, no, that don't sound right. That's when they start to panic. But they think because it's only a few people, it's not a threat. But you don't need
Mm-hmm,
that many. You only
mm-hmm.
need a little rumbling to get stuff popping.
Baby, this thing that I told y'all the other night about y'all on the book club, at least having to make a decision about how you choose to participate moving forward, because I am plotting, and the things that I am plotting on, and the need for those things to be very public displays, um, are not going to be comfortable displays, right? And like you having to make a decision about how you affiliate with me, because that's what she demands. She is like, bitch, you can't be safe, you can't be secret, you can't be quiet. Like you about to have to kick the doors in on this bitch, and it's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable, because the challenge that I am making when I talk about Abrahamic religions or Buddhism or Hinduism or any of these isms, Satanism, all of that shit is the same shit. You feel me? Um, is that it is going to challenge everybody's comfort, is going to challenge everybody's integrity, and I just want people to know, like, I'm not going to be um fork tongue. I'm not going to speak different shit out different sides of my mouth, and people have to be ready for that, because the critique that I make, people will take it personally. People, I anticipate, very soon will start to call me anti-Semitic. People will begin to say that, I'm a devil worshiper because I'm going to be talking cash shit about their Jesus. You feel me? I guarantee, I'm just telling you what it is. People going to be mad and in their feelings because I am going to say I unapologetically reject Islam. I unapologetically denounce Judaism. I irreservedly condemn Buddhism. I don't have a problem saying none of that shit, because they are all guilty of crimes against human beings. They're all guilty. That does not mean that I do not have a big, giant, massive, full heart for the followers of those traditions. That I do not have a huge, massive amount of empathy and honest, true, genuine love for those who call those their traditions, call those the traditions of their childhood or their origin. For me to condemn these institutions is not to condemn human beings, it's not to condemn individuals, it's not to make them feel guilty, it's not to deliberately make them uncomfortable. But if they are uncomfortable, it's because the spirit of the mother is at this juncture screaming, screaming, screaming from us. Because I'm just a regular, everyday black motherfucker from whoever the fuck knows where, talking some bullshit with some explicatives attached to it every now and again, and some cute little southern colloquialisms. So, what I have to say may speak to some people, but I, for at least by today's definition, am not important. By today's standards and I'm not anybody spectacular or important. So for people to be upset by, moved by, enraged by, because I get some pretty vicious comments on my shit. I'm pretty jolly on the spot about deleting them before they upset the sensibilities of other people. But I get some pretty vicious shit. You feel me? And I'm not moved by that, because bitch, if you mad, they talk about how hit dogs yell. I don't even say that. If you are mad, it is because the mother's kicking your ass, not me. I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'm just complying to my mother's will. And if it offends you, if it ruffles your tail feathers, get your panties in the bunch, jacks you in the jaw or any of that, you need to be sitting with you. You need to be sitting with you. Why am I frustrated by some black bitch don't nobody know? Why would I be so in my feelings, so disturbed by some nappy-headed woman with tattoos on her face? And it is because, listen, I comply to my mother's will. So if you disturb, bitch, don't come at me. Sit with you and the mother that resides within you. Sit with your mama. Sit with your mama. That's what you do. You feel me? Solitaire wisdom. Really what? Oh, she talking about how I be getting ugly ass comments from people on my shit. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I be getting ugly ass comments on my shit.
I also think people can't separate their ideologies from themselves. Like their belief, they can't separate their traditions and their beliefs from themselves.
Well, that's the purpose of it. The purpose of it is you define yourself by your beliefs. You define yourself by your captors. You define your value as a human being is based on your proximity to your captors, to your oppressors,
right?
And what they teach you. You see, but I'll tell you, while some of these people just may be ignorant people who just don't know and don't have the right information, I'm gonna tell you, 99.9% of this shit is bots. I'm not joking. AI, looking to create dissension based on common like buzzwords and algorithms and shit. I say half of this shit is bots, and the other half of this shit is the police. So it don't sway me no way at all. Y'all motherfuckers don't sway me at all, baby. You feel me? I step into the virtual world with the idea, just like I did before the virtual world was a thing. When I was just a regular, everyday black nationalist in a black nationalist organization, everybody was suspect. My position was everybody the police until they prove they ain't the police. That's it. I got the same position right now on this goddamn internet. Everybody is potentially the police until they prove they ain't the police. That's our starting point. You feel me? And if you are so sensitive, I'm gonna admit something. What's sad about it? I'll be honest. There are a couple of people that I know that I have lost as followers that I really liked. Like we had developed, through communication in one way or another. I'd done readings with them or whatever, a personal relationship, and I liked. And I think that there are, and I've attempted to reach out to them, and they have cold into communication. I'm never going to lie. I'm never going to do that. And the truth may be sensitive and hurtful, but that's one thing that you can take comfort on. I may be a little edgy. Maybe I could be a little softer. I don't think so. Like, bitch, I'm easy. The state is hard. The police is hard. The government is hard. The fucking rent man is hard on your ass. I'm easy. You feel me? And so if you can't take me, then maybe you ain't ready for the call. You aren't ready for what it is we have to face and we have to do, because the shit is going to get harder before it gets better. And so I was really kind of in my feelings. I reached out several times to a couple of people that were pretty regular followers and kind of fell off. We don't have to agree on every single thing for us and our mission to be in alignment. We don't. And so I was really kind of disappointed because I thought these was going to be riders. You feel me? I thought these were going to be motherfuckers that was going to be like up in the temple as honorary goddesses for the temple and shit. Like when we start doing some things, you feel me? And so, but I've made up my mind, man. I've done that too much and for too long and for too many. When I open my mouth, every time I open my mouth in every space with which I open my mouth, I mean that. My mother is speaking. Period. Why can I say that? Because she is me and I am her. We are her if we accept it. And if our heart is right, our heart is in alignment, if we aren't just, wicked ass motherfuckers out here doing diabolical shit, she will speak through us. She will use us. And so even if it comes off hurtful, you know what my intentions are. I make that shit clear. I make that shit crystal clear that I love human beings. It's been an affliction. I love human beings. I've been in black nationalist organizations and my black nationalist friends like, bitch, why you got so many white friends? Because I love human beings. And I know that there's something more than just nationalism. Nationalism is a response to oppression. Nationalism is a response to white supremacy. But what was there before that? Doesn't mean I don't love us. Yes, I love everybody that look like me. Sure do. Don't mean in spite of others. It doesn't mean in spite of. And I've sat in ceremony so long asking spirit, like, bitch, what the fuck you want with me and these white people? I asked spirit, like, mother, can you be clear about what it is, the relationship that you want me to have with these white people? Because why they keep coming to me? Why they keep flocking around me? There ain't nothing I can say that prevents them from coming. I can be talking about white supremacy. I can say shit like crackers ain't shit. And white people be like, oh, Cassandra, we love you. They are not used to the honesty that comes in this way and in this personification. Because they know even when I say crackers be with that bullshit, they know I am not talking about individuals. I am talking about an institution that exploits everyone, including them. If they can take a moment and remember, if they can be still enough and do the same kind of deep, dark ass work that the rest of us have to do to reconnect with the mother, to have her way with us. They have a role too. That's some uncomfortable shit. Men have a role too. There's a lot of sisters who I love and really respect who have a position like fuck men. And I do not deny them that position because that is an informed decision that they have made. It's not some ambiguous shit. Their existence in the world has taught them that they are not safe in space where men are, that men are very likely to cause them harm. And so for a woman to take a position, I don't fuck with men at all, in no space, in no way. I would never condemn no woman for saying that shit. That's not my position. My experience is the same, but that's not my position. That males are here because they are purposed to be here. They have a purpose through the mother if they can remember, if they can be compliant. Same thing with white people. I would never deny some person of color, some people of color, some group of color to say, fuck white people. I'm sorry, I can't be in no space with them. I don't trust them. My life is always in jeopardy in space with them. I am never safe in space with them. I'm not safe to talk honestly in space with them without them throwing themselves in the center. And I would never deny no person of color by coming to that assessment, because that is a real lived experience taught. And that is a position that they take based in self-preservation. Like, in order to preserve my life and to preserve my sanity, I can't be around white people. I get what you're talking about, Cassandra, but I ain't ready for that. And I would never deny them that. While at the same time experiencing all those emotions about white people and about men, spirit has been on me for a long time, and in really, really hardcore and uncomfortable situations, saying there is more. It is deeper than what it's deeper than what you're witnessing. Your relationship to the white world, people of color's relationship to the white world, our relationship to wealth and poverty, our relationship to men. Yes, the shit is vicious. Yes, this shit is fucked up. Yes, some people will have to pay because the mother is not a pacifist. Some people will have to pay depending upon the severity of the crimes that they've committed against others. But what you are witnessing is deeper than what you're giving space to. It is deeper than what is being articulated, because this shit that we're articulating serves someone other than us. You feel me? I hope that wasn't too deep, but I'm just saying, man, like, the world that we have to create is a radical one, and we have to be ready to get fucking dirty. We have, and not in a gruesome way. We have to be ready to, like, turn the fuck up, party, even while we doing this work. You understand? And so, yeah. I was sad for about a half a second about the few women that I knew. I knew why they checked out. I knew why they jumped ship. I was like, damn, not them. You know what I'm saying? Not them. You feel me? But it's what it is. It's what it is. And I maybe I'm so convicted. I love human beings so much. You know what I'm saying? I am in love with the future that I know that we are creating right now. I'm obsessed with it. I know it's certain, it's palpable. It's like we right on the brink, bitch, like
Yeah.
any day now.
Right beneath the surface. Yep.
Yes. Yes. And I'm reminded of this. I heard this guy talk about the power of manifestation, right? And he's like, one of the problems with manifestation is, we do our affirmations and, and all of that shit. And we get frustrated because we don't see nothing happening. We diligent. We don't see nothing happening. We don't see nothing happening. We've planted the seed, but the seed we can't see. We had to put the seed in the dirt. We had to cover the seed. And so we doing the manifestation. We doing the manifestation. We doing the affirmation. We doing the affirmations. We like, this shit ain't gonna work. And just as we say, this shit ain't gonna work, because we cannot see the unseen, we cannot see what's happening below the surface, do not realize that just right after we say this shit don't work, that damn bud was about to break the surface. Right? And that stuck with me. That stuck with me. As a scientist, that stuck with me because that's the law of qualitative and quantitative transformation. You don't have to see the evidence of change. All you have to do is guarantee that all the necessary ingredients are there. You do not have to see. That is science. That's a guarantee. You do not have to see the evidence of change. All you have to do is ensure that the necessary ingredients are there for change to occur. What do I mean? You wake up hungry. You're like, damn, I want something to eat. You look in your refrigerator. Okay, I'm gonna get myself a boiled egg. All I got is some eggs up in here. I'm gonna get a boiled egg. I'm gonna boil myself some eggs. Right? We can guarantee the outcome by ensuring the necessary ingredients are present. What are the necessary ingredients? One, our hunger is what initiates the process. Our hunger for the future, our hunger for change, our hunger for more is what initiates the process, what drives us to get the fuck up out of bed into our refrigerator and contemplate the possibilities to resolving our hunger. You heard me?
Yeah.
Then, because we don't have to be scientists to know that if we do follow certain steps, that the egg will go from raw to solid. We ain't got to be a scientist. We ain't even got to take first grade science to know that that's the case. Why? Through culture and tradition and habit and ritual. You feel me? So we take the ingredients, the egg and the water, you feel me? The pot and the fire. And we can turn that fire on and walk out the room. We don't have to sit there and look the whole time and observe. Is the water gonna boil? Is it not gonna boil? I don't know. I don't know if the water gonna boil. We can walk away with what? Certainty that the outcome is what we will it to be. We can walk away, get on the phone, watch some TV, crank some music, and know that because the fucking ingredients that are required to every single time produce the same outcome, which is change, which is the transformation from one state to another. We can go and be out our life and come back when the little whistle blow or when we hear the water boiling and know that our hunger will be satiated because all of the elements, external and internal, were always in place to guarantee the outcome. This is qualitative and quantitative transformation. This is where we are. This is where we are. Women linking with one another. They don't know what the driving force is. They do not know what the origin of their hunger is. They just know they have a need and it's calling to them from inside their goddamn spirit. It's making them uneasy in their sleep and in their relationships with lovers and in every possible way. This hunger that has not yet been able to be satiated by the things that we're conditioned to believe we need: a house and a car and a dog and some kids and a white picket fence. And this has not satiated the goddamn hunger that drives us. But still, we look, we remain open, we move forward with open hearts. We ensure the ingredients all the time, whether conscious or unconsciously, that ensure with certainty the desired outcome that we all long for, every last one of us on earth, whether we are white or black or Arab or Jew, male or female or other or child or old. We all want peace, real, genuine peace, harmony, love, fulfillment, acceptance. Sovereignty is what we long for, even if we don't know how to articulate that. It's what we long for. And so our prayers are ingredients that we have fueled certainty. Our prayers are ingredients. Our affirmations are ingredients, right? Our relationships that teach us something all the time, whether good or bad, are necessary ingredients. Our groups, our isolation, we're all, what did I tell y'all last week? There are a million roads to the same destination. We all long for the same thing, even if there are a million and one different ways to get there, to get to that destination. Whatever our spirit, whatever we think our spirit yearns for, our flesh yearns for, it's the same thing. It is to be happy in life. It is to be happy in our flesh. It is to be happy in this manifestation. It is to be happy in this life. That's what we want, whether we can articulate that or not. We want to be safe in this life. We want to be fulfilled in our flesh in this life. And so
we had the same conversation. Like, I literally had the same conversation on Saturday. We, instead of using the egg, we use rice. I was just like I'm getting chills because I'm like, what? Okay, I realized that when I'm on, there's usually themes in my life, and whenever the theme is, one person can say, these people don't know each other, no interaction. They'll say something, then the other person will say something verbatim, and then I'll read something, and then I'll hear something. I'm like, okay, girl, I got it, noted. Like, write that down, keep going, like. So that's it. I just get chills when you say that, because it's like, yeah, we planting the seeds for change. Even when we don't see anything happening, it's still taking place.
That's why, what am I always talking about in terms of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence? What do I always say? We don't pray, we conspire. The conspiracy, what is it? It is the speaking together. It is the articulation together, whether that's through prayers or manifestation, however that sounds. It is the speaking together to ensure a certain, what does certain mean? Definitive, guaranteed result. The breathing together to guarantee, to ensure a certain result, right? And what I'm telling y'all about the entering into the age of Aquarius, these things that in the past we call synchronicities, or we call coincidences, or whatever, or we even call deja vu. This shit is happening more and more frequently. It is happening more and more intensely. It is happening more and more often among people who never even would have considered spirituality or anything like that, because the age of Aquarius is the air age. We haven't been in an air sign age in 6,000. The end of the last air sign age was 6,000 years ago. So in 8,000 years, we haven't been in an air sign age. The air sign age, what happened? When we talk about, when scientists and archaeologists talk about what are the indicators of, well, when astrologers talk about the indicators of the speed with which information is disseminated in an air sign age. The last air sign age, which was Gemini, 8,000 years ago, that period is when, they talk about the similarities between the equatorial pyramids, and how did these pyramids all along the equator, in Asia and in Africa and the Americas. How did they just come to be? Well, how are they so similar? Were everybody on the same page? Yes, that is the collective dissemination of rapidly transferring information that happens in an air sign. So, the waters, that even though Aquarius is an air sign, he's the water bearer. The water is the waters of enlightenment that bind and tie all of us together, right? So that's one of the things that's defined in the Aquarian age, is the rapid acceptance of, dissemination of, sharing of experiences, information. And so this shit you describing right here, that is, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I will, like, even when we was reading Pure Lust, how that shit happened so many times while we were reading the book. Rereading a chapter from a book written in 1983, and the same week on the motherfucker, she talk about a movie about his life is being freaking shown in the TV theater. I mean, in the movie theater, and that shit happened twice. The same week we reading about The Color Purple in the book, when we decided to read, that's 2 days later, we read about The Color Purple. Oppenheimer and his criminal ass. Same week that the movie, like, I was like, this shit is too much. It's too much. But that's the evidence. What did I say? That the past is always present. She didn't have to have a crystal ball to see that a whole bunch of black women was going to be getting their wigs snatched in 2023. You feel me? 50 years after she wrote the goddamn, 40 years after she wrote the goddamn book, the same week that these motherfuckers was going to be releasing movies about a freaking genocidal megalomaniac heralded as some great scientist, and The Color Purple. You feel me? At the same time that we just happened to be reading the book.
Right.
But the past is always present. The past is always alive and impactful in the present. That's what the webs of destiny mean. That's what it means to be a fate, a weaver of the fates of destiny, a weaver of the threads of destiny. That's what it means. And that's what the 5D is. Y'all got it fucked up. The 5D ain't off the fuck somewhere where we gonna grow some wings and galvanize some superpowers. The superpowers exist in us right now, waiting to be broke the fuck loose, waiting for us to receive it. From who? From our mama. It's the 5D is right here in the motherfucking flesh, bitch. That's where it's at.
See, that's why I like you, because you're a realist. And the lady who did my Reiki attunement, she was very sweet. Like, she helped me get through, because I was just a very emotional day. Like, a lot of energy was on me that day. But she was just like, I would say, oh, a lot of times people don't take my message in the way that I'm giving it with my intention, because sometimes the way that I give it may be abrasive, or the way that I say things might rub them the wrong way. And she's like, well, you have to work on that. And I was like, no, I don't.
No, you don't.
I don't have to work on that. Like, if they are uncomfortable, that's not I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm not gonna, that's not me. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, nope. If it rubs you the wrong way, I'm sorry. If my tone and my inflection aren't what you like,
you so much.
You listen to somebody else say it. Like, I don't.
Let me tell you, Tyra, right the fuck on. What did I say? All the way back when that person, I think it was Courtney Self-Care, asked me, what's the solution? Get comfortable with that shit you currently uncomfortable with. If you one of them white women who get offended and clutch your pearls when a black woman tells you forcefully what her experience is with you in space, don't unclutch pearls, bitch. Ask yourself in your mother within you why you are uncomfortable. Is this my conditioning that I'm responding to? Because that's not my job. My job, your job, sister, all of our jobs, especially as women of color, and even more especially as black women in the world, our job is to always lead with love. If you trust me, if you trust that no matter what I say, no matter how I enter into space, I am in that space and I am saying what I am saying out of love. Period. I guarantee you that all the time. I am always leading with love. And even if it's uncomfortable for you to hear, if you know that I'm entering in the space with love, not only with love, but honoring your sovereignty, then you know that what I am telling you is to attempt to awaken the she in you. It is to tap into that which is the deepest hidden in you. That's what I am attempting to do. I am attempting to wake the mother in you, males, you. others, you, white people, you, every motherfucking body. Because it's not enough to say that we all are the peculiar, beautiful, perfect personification of the mother in real time, attempting to set the terms on the planet. She still gives us free will. We still have a choice to accept or reject that destiny that she has given to us. That's still what we have to do. And if your conditioning is so deep that you are offended by me and you know I love you, you know, based on your relationship with me, that I would never do you harm, that I would never lie to you. I never wish ill will on you, right? That I honor your sovereignty. Always honor your sovereignty. Then even if it comes off a little gruff or with a little explicative attached to it, and culturally, that's not where you're from. Like, could you talk a little quieter? I mean, you are really loud when you speak, right? That kind of shit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not me you uncomfortable with. And if you are uncomfortable with, with how I present in the world, then it's a question that you need to be asking yourself in silence. You need to be talking to the deep and dark within yourself. And you need to be asking her, why am I so triggered by the presence of black women? Why am I so offended when I see expressions of black joy? Why do I automatically feel the need to sabotage spaces where black people exist? That's your conditioning, boo. That is your allegiance to your white male father God, who always has you acting as the police in spaces that you don't dominate and control.
Yeah, especially when they're the minority, they be shook. I'm like, well, girl, I don't know what to tell you.
You know what I'm saying? And some of the other and I'll let you go, and we can end this because I have a patient coming soon. But this also, because I'm not going to exhaust myself. I don't have to prove anything to any motherfucking body. I don't have anything to prove to anybody. I don't. So if I'm out here doing what I need to do to change the world by my motherfucking self, bitch, I'm 50. You understand? My trajectory is unchanged. I'm crystal clear about what she wants from me. So if I have to be out here by my motherfucking self, I'm okay with that. I've accepted that, right? And so that's why I do not argue and I won't debate. I won't. That does not mean that the need for debate does not exist. It just means I'm not going to do it. Do you understand? So I had a conversation with my homeboy yesterday, and then I had another conversation with a white sister here today about the same concept. Same thing. I said, look, bro, this is your assignment. This is what it has to be. This is your assignment. Your assignment is recognizing, we as strategists, we as the creators of the new world have to recognize people's conditioning and how it manifests itself. People's conditioning will not allow them to hear me all the time. People's conditioning, I said, bruh, you know how it is. We done been in the movement long enough. You and I can have a script that we read from verbatim, word for word, the exact same thing. And the men in the room will hear something totally different coming from you than they will from me. That's not to condemn or criticize them men. That is to acknowledge that goddamn conditioning. And then to create a strategy around it. So I'm not going to debate men. Doesn't mean men don't need to be debated. It just means it's not me. That's why I get real demoralized when I see these young, beautiful, brilliant, smart women on these panels with men talking this dumb shit. Don't do that. Do not waste your essence. Do not waste your vital energy on that bullshit. There is nothing for you to win in that scenario. Nothing. Now, what you need to do is find a male ally who is strong in his presentation, who is one that the motherfuckers can be like, okay, that's a real man's man right there, but who is up on the mother, who is about that motherfucking life. And have him articulate the will of the mother to this group of men who cannot yet hear what the mother has to say from a portal possessing human like myself. You feel me? Told the white girl the same thing. The issue is not being born with white skin. The issue that people are articulating is not you being born with white skin. It is about whiteness as a construct that has won your allegiance to white supremacy. whether it's through privilege, whether it's through, what do they call it? Damselness, you know what I'm saying? Or any number of ways that white supremacy imposes itself on others and that you fall right in line with. The issue is not being born with white skin. And I'm not interested in white people participating in what it is I am trying to create out of guilt or shame. That's not what I'm not interested in that. Ain't nobody interested in your guilt. Ain't nobody interested in your shame. Ain't nobody trying to guilt or shame you. Because again, we have to start from the beginning. And the beginning is your white self exists because some black uterus holding, portal holding human gave birth to everybody that breathes on the planet. This is the basis of our sameness and our oneness and our unity and our connection. Is that we could not be made real without a uterus. The destiny that we saw for ourselves in the ancestral realm could not be fulfilled without the acceptance of a uterus. Because we can get our mama pregnant and she can still say, "Nah, bitch, not this time. You don't have to try next go around." That's why they mad about abortion. How dare these bitches have the original power over life and death? Have the original power to say if and if not you can exist. That's why they mad. How dare they? Only we have power over life and death through war. Through war, you see. And so if we can concede that the thing that binds us all is our mothers, and all of our mothers, even though they may be flawed, even though they may have done dirty shit, because we are having this experience in the most gruesome period in human history, that without her saying yes to our life, we could not be. We could not be. And if we can accept that that is our starting point, that is our point of unity, is that a portal, a goddamn, what do they call it? A stargate in your mother's fleshly body had to be in order for you to be. And that we are all the descendants of the one. The one. So I told this girl, I was like, look, I am not interested in white people using their 1/16 or their 1/8 native ancestry to attempt to escape whiteness. I am not condemning white people from being born with white skin. I'm not interested in people attempting through shame and guilt to escape whiteness by aligning themselves with otherness. What we're trying to create is a world where sovereignty is guaranteed. Sovereignty is guaranteed. And so you, as a white woman, need to be able to say, and she said, I've never seen an example of it. This is what she told me. I've never seen an example of a person being proud of whiteness. I said, I'm not talking about being proud of whiteness, boo. I'm talking about being proud of who you are and your white skin just being a compilation of who you are. You are still the mother's peculiar, necessary, perfect personification on earth. This is what we're talking about, where whiteness and blackness and Mexicanness or, indigenousness is not something that defines us in opposition to white supremacy, because that's how we all exist. We all exist in identifying ourselves in opposition to white supremacy, because it is the most personified or the apex of the personification of patriarchy on the planet right now. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a world where our sovereignty and our honoring of others' sovereignty is what guarantees us safety, love, acceptance in any space that we go into. We know that we are safe because I honor your sovereignty. Why do I honor your sovereignty? Because I love my mother. If I love my mother, I got to love your mama. That's why I honor your sovereignty, because it is she that unites us. It is she that we all have in common. Our mothers are just a personification of her. You understand what I'm saying? I know it's some deep shit, but it don't have to be that deep. I told her, she said, I've never seen that. I've never seen anybody who was a white person, talking about proud of being white. I was like, she said proud of being white and it not be like negative, it not be white nationalist, it not be like gross, it not be like violent. That's what she said. I said, you have to create it. I said, you have to create that, because just like you're saying it, you've never seen it. And so white people are plagued by isolation. White people are plagued by guilt. White people are plagued by shame. And it is because they've been fed the same narrative that we have, but they're on the opposite side of that narrative. All the way back to the beginning, this whole question of asceticism and proximity to the God of their creation, you see. So just like you're articulating that, I'm telling you, there's 1,000, there's 1,000,000, there's 100 million, or not 100, 100 million white people who are having the same conflicting experience, wanting to be reunited with the human family without it being exploitative, or, you know, what's the other word they use? What's the other word they use? What's the word? You know, not exploitative, but the other word, like when they co-opt people's identity and shit to prove that they down, like they wear dreadlocks or they wear cornrows or shit. Appropriation. So without it being appropriative, you feel me? Or even hearing, you know, progressive white people say, oh, white people ain't got no culture. That is not true. But it is because you have accepted the indoctrination of your oppressor as well, that you would adopt a philosophy that white people ain't got no culture, because they want you to forget your ancestral culture too. Bitch, before the Roman Empire emerged, white people was living like the rest of us, contrary to popular belief, living in harmony with the land, living in harmony with the other, under matriarchal societies, loyal to the mother. Y'all have a history too. And just like they don't want us to remember our history, they don't want you to remember your history too. So you accept a philosophy that you don't have a culture, that you don't have a history, and you further and deepen your isolation. And the only thing that unites you now is your fucking place of privilege over the rest of us. You see? So I'm like, look, you have to create that which you say you have never seen. How to be a white-skinned person and say, I stand on the right side of history. I stand as a, you know, as an architect of the future, complying to the will of my mother and her daughters. And I know who her daughters are. They are women of color. They are Black women who are the custodians of the goddamn planet. Whatever they say, that's what the fuck I'm executing, because we can't be no worse off than we are. That's it. That's it. That's their work to do. White people, white women, men. That's their work to do. All I can do is tell you what my mother's will is. And you can comply or not comply. That's what sovereignty is. You can hear it and receive it or not. You can reject it. That's what sovereignty is. Don't mean you can occupy no space where we at, but it means you have, you know, you can comply or not comply. It's exciting to me because nobody attempts to simplify the way forward. Nobody attempts to demystify the way forward. Everybody attempts to complicate the way forward. The way forward is sure, and it is direct, and it is crystal clear. If the yin yang theory teaches us the harmony of opposites, that you can only heal a condition by treating with its opposite, then the treatment for white supremacy, for Father God worship, for the destruction of the earth based on utmost yang and its reign in the Piscean era, is the emergence of the Antichrist, the rise from out the belly of the earth, the great primordial black ass serpentine mother who resides in every last one of us, coiled up at the base of our spine, waiting for that untapped potential to spring the fuck off. That's it. That's it. That's it. So embrace what makes you uncomfortable, bitch. Embrace the dark. Hug a Black woman today and say, thank you so much for existing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm being funny, but I'm being goddamn deadly serious. Thank some Black elder woman, some crone with all this information locked up inside her, but don't nobody want to hear what the fuck she got to say. Tell her, thank you so much for existing. I know you exist. I know I exist because you exist. Thank you so much. Shit. You feel me?
I feel you.
You ain't never got fed. You ain't never got blessed. You ain't never got no rewards from worshiping no cracker Christ. You feel me? Ain't never. Nowhere on earth. Show me where somebody been blessed by that. You can't lose. by saying, at least let's try it. If she say we got to worship black women, let's try that and see if that shit work.
It's funny that you say that, because they'll say, oh, she's just, yeah, you know, she wants people to worship black women because she's conceited. But nobody say that about, well, y'all worshiping these white people and these white men. Like, nobody say that. Like,
and even the definition of worship. I ain't talking about having no motherfucker over here fanning me with ostrich feathers or rubbing my motherfucking feet or no shit. Because I'm not interested in that either. You feel me? I'm not interested. I watch all these damn, I'm obsessed with these damn cult documentaries and shit. I'm not interested in none of that self-aggrandizement that these motherfuckers be seeking, goddamn spiritual exploitative rock star status. I'm not interested in none of that shit. Bitch, I want to live. Bitch, I want to be free.
Facts.
I want to benefit. I want to benefit from the benefit. I want to benefit from my own labor. I want to live well. I want to see my grandchildren be abundant. I want to see them live in a world where they never have to explain their place in the world, how they look, who they was born to, why your grandmama look like that and you look like you look. You feel me? I don't want them to live in a world where they have to explain their beingness to someone, where they can just be. And that is all that is necessary. They can exist and be guaranteed sovereignty in their existence. That's all I'm interested in.
I literally wrote that in my journal. I just want to be, like, just, and not have to explain why I express myself the way that I do, the way I look, the way just leave me alone. Just let me be. Why we can't
leave me alone? Embrace me for who I am as the mother in real time. Even males can say that. Period. I am my mother's child. That's when somebody say, who are you? I am my mother's child. That's it. And that'll be enough. What does that mean? We ain't got to say, I am what? I am cishet. I ain't got to say that. I ain't got to say, I am, I am trans female or trans man. I ain't got to say that. That's fine if you choose to. I do not have to announce my pronouns. I do not have to say even my name. That when I walk into a space, I'm going to start doing that, as a matter of fact. I announce my name because my mama gave it to me, but I'm going to start doing that. Greetings. I am my mother's child. I am my mother's child. That's the power I walk into this space with. Bitch, God gave birth to me. God gave birth to me. Abasi said, hold on. He does say this all the time. This brother I've known like 20 years or some shit. He said, I always say, I'm Francis' son. He does. As long as I've known him. He always, I'm Francis' son. Who you? I'm Francis' son. God gave birth to me. I'm my mother's child. I'm my mother's daughter. You understand? This guarantees me sovereignty in this space. You don't need to know nothing else about me. I am valid because I am my mother's son. I am my mother's daughter. I am valuable because I am my mother's daughter. I am who I am because my mother said so. I'm God because only God can give, because God can only give birth to God. I'm God because my mother is God. I'm God because my mother is God. You see. Not the other way around, boo.
Period.
I'm God.
I gotta get off. I gotta practice my guitar and I gotta read.
But and I got 7 minutes to my here. I appreciate you all so much. This was fun. This is like doing an interview. I like this. I'm gonna have to do this more often. So anybody else want to be like up on one of these joints with me, you feel me? Let me know and I'll send you a link on the next live. So y'all should be getting alerts because I just booked a whole bunch. I just organized a whole bunch of lives for the rest of the week. So check your alerts on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. IG, I can't send any alerts, but keep posted. Daughter of the Fates on YouTube, at Daughter of the Fates on YouTube. Cassandra Floyd on Facebook. Cassandra Faye or Daughter of the Fates on Twitch. Check your alerts because I have something scheduled every day this week. And if you're interested in joining me in the conversation, like with the sister right here, this was fun. I like it. I'm here for it. Iron sharpening iron. You feel me? Then let me know and I'll send you a link on how you can join me on the next live that I do. Thank you, Balance. Kamara Steppin' Razor. You feel me? Everybody that tuned in on IG and on Facebook, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. My name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. If you need a reading, if you need a wellness consult, if you want information about the book club, email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com, releaseheartcenter@gmail.com, and I will see you guys again tomorrow at 1 p.m. for the continued reading of Parable of the Sower by the wonderful Octavia Butler. Good night and peace be to y'all.